Hey, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader here with an amazing video lesson. I'm getting so many messages. How did I spot WKHS ahead of time before its breakout on Friday? You can see it broke just above $4 a share at 405. After hours, it's actually at 410. I think that it can keep running to the low or even mid fours. I'll explain my thesis and I'll explain how I found that. But what I want you to do, if you understand this lesson by the end of it, leave a comment just under the video lesson saying, I will prepare. 3 words that are going to change your life, because my success and my millionaire student success is all about preparation. You cannot over prepare, but it is very, very easy to under prepare. So I don't want you chasing any hot stock. I don't want you following anybody else's picks. I want to teach you to learn to be self-sufficient. That is why I have the most successful students, not just money-wise, but knowledge-wise. If you put my top students versus anybody else in penny stocks who have just been trading or anywhere else in the stock market, my students are the wisest, because it's not just about the money, it's how much you prepare, and I will over-prepare you. Anyways, WKHS, I nailed it, and I've been watching this stock long before Friday's nice breakout. It's been in my long-term portfolio. And before I even begin, first, let me just congratulate the student of the week is Roland. He's a new challenge student. He just passed $119,000 in profits, and he wrote this awesome guest blog post. He's student of the month, not just student of the week. If you go to timothysykes.com, definitely read the 10 lessons. It's not just about the money that Roland's made. He has so much knowledge and wisdom already because he's been a dedicated student, and I love seeing that. The student of the week is this guy, Mark. On Friday, he had his first ever $1,000 profit. He joined my challenge last week, and it's already paying off. $3,530 on Friday. And, he's like, come on over. I'll pour you a drink. No drinking, Mark, but enjoy your profits, and I love that you're studying, and trust me, this is just the beginning. Don't get cocky, okay? You hear about my millionaire students, you hear about people like Roland, and you're like, oh, I'm the next 6-figure student, I'm the next millionaire student. There's a long road. This is a marathon, not a sprint, so understand that. But definitely props and celebrate, making $3,000 in a day. A lot of people don't really want to invest in their education. They're like, no, I just want hot picks. No, I'll just rely on others. I'm glad that you see it paying off so quickly, because I see you, Mark. I see how many video lessons you're watching and you're studying your ass off, and I'm glad to see that, studying pays off. Anyways, let's talk about WKHS. Why did I buy it? Why did I alert it in the chat room before I bought it? How did I know, or did I know? The answer is I didn't know 100%. I had an inkling that it might spike on Friday, and that's why I think this video lesson is going to be so useful. You can have an inkling. You can have, a stock to watch, but make sure that the stock proves it before you enter. Don't just buy any stock. Don't just short any stock because you have an inkling. Try to watch these stocks, and then if the price action starts, going with what your thesis is, then you can enter. So first of all, let me just show you my chat room commentary. This was Thursday before the market closed. And I had no short-term position. I had a long-term position, which I said. But before the market closed on Thursday, I said WKHS is my top watch tomorrow, which is Friday, as they're introducing their next generation helicopter next week. So we'll see if it can run in anticipation. Today it's unchanged, so I can't buy with this price action, although I do have a longer term position too from earlier this week. This is my longer term position. I actually sold my longer term position because it spiked nicely and I didn't want to risk it over the weekend. As it turns out, I probably should have held my longer term position longer. But I was buying a week ago at 370 and I added at 358 and I was selling at 390-ish. I wanted to sell it at 4, but I was actually traveling on Friday, which is part of the reason why I just wanted to exit, because I wasn't sure how the stock would end. the day. I didn't know that it was going to close at 4:05 or, be at 4:10 after hours. If I did, I would have held. But I specifically was trying to get in on this play. This is what my longer term newsletter is all about. I was trying to get in anticipation of the news. And on June 14th, when I added to my position, I linked the press release. A lot of you guys are like, how did you know? This press release was issued on May 31st. Okay? They specifically teased that they would be reinventing the helicopter. I mean, this is not like a little announcement, okay? So this is going to happen on Monday in Paris at the air show. So they specifically teased this, and there were a few articles. Where was it? Here was an article. This was on June 5th. This is their kind of new age helicopter that they're introducing on Monday. And, there's a whole gallery, and it looks pretty cool, whatever. Will it work? Who knows? This company, if you've been in my challenge webinars, you know that I've been watching this company for a while, for years, ever since they were doing, drone delivery, and that never panned out. They got a freaking deal with UPS, and the drone delivery has not panned out, mainly because of regulations. The drones work, the UPS deal is still in place, but, you can't deliver stuff via drones unless the FAA allows it. So it hasn't really had a good multi-year run at all. But now you can see this is a nice little breakout heading right into, the specific news that could be a catalyst, which is the reinventing of this helicopter. And this is what I was, looking for. I said, look, they're introducing their next generation helicopter next week, so we'll see if it can run in anticipation. But I was not buying it Thursday because it was unchanged on the day. And I'm not just going to get into a position just on the hope that some news, might do something. But in my watch list, Thursday evening, I went on and I clarified it because I got a lot of questions. I said, this is a potential buy for me tomorrow if it can start running ahead of its Monday introduction of the helicopter. So far, no fireworks or much volume like it had a few weeks ago, so it's just a waiting game to see when it'll start acting better to merit a short-term buy, and Monday might be a good catalyst. This was set at 1:07 a.m. actually Friday morning before the market opens, 8 hours before the market opens. Now, some people will say, oh, Tim, you're talking about it, you're hyping the stock up. Actually, the stock did nothing at first on Friday. It really started around, I was actually flying. The real run-up started right around here at 10:04 a.m. It did nothing for the first half hour. I don't know what caused this spike. I wasn't in chat. I wasn't around. But I was watching it again. And it had this spike, so I bought into some of this spike. But it didn't really do much. It held on, and then it closed nicely here, and now you can see it at 4:10 after hours. This is all ahead of the news on Monday. So understand, this is like, if you drink before you go out, you're like pre-gaming. This is like pre-news. And, I don't know what Monday is going to bring. They're debuting this thing at the, air show. But no matter what happens, Monday should bring some more exposure because they're going to be at this air show all day. And understand that Monday, Paris, they're starting to showcase this thing at 9 a.m. How do I know that? Again, I do research, okay? I prepare. I look at the press release. I go to Workhorse's website. I see this Surefly thing that they're going to try to, promote and invent. And actually, what interested me most in this press release is the fact that early models will be piloted. The goal is to introduce future models featuring autonomous flight, capable of carrying payloads of up to 400 pounds. So think about that. Anticipated markets are precision agriculture, emergency responders, city commuters, and military. So they want to make this helicopter auto-flying. So there's a lot of, hype about auto-driving cars with Google and Uber and Amazon are all trying to do that. And then some people are trying to do, some companies are trying to do flying cars. This is both. This is an automated flying car. And, again, I don't know if they're going to pull it off, but I'll tell you, this looks pretty hypish. It looks pretty good. Normally, I would say, this is like a pump and dump. I wouldn't trust this company, but they have a history of actually being real. And if you do more research, you can see the CEO. He's talked about it. Their UPS deal is still intact, but now they're taking it to the next level. Their UPS thing is called Horsefly. This is called Surefly. And I'll talk more about why I'm actually excited about this, why I think it might have spiked specifically on Friday, not just because they're introducing this on Monday. But first, let me get to the point that I was trying to make before. On Surefly, on their website, they show this, they talk about it, hype, 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 hype. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I've seen too many penny stocks fail over time. What I'm interested in, I like this. Look at this city commuting little picture. You're invited to the unveiling. This is Monday, June 19th through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. So you have to understand, this is at the International Air Show in Paris. So what time is 9 a.m. Paris time in New York time? Okay? We're talking 6 hours ahead. So they are debuting this thing at roughly 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday morning. So by the time the U.S. stock markets open, people will have already seen this thing for 6 hours. Okay? The whole day. Look at this. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 3 p.m. in Paris time on Monday is just 9 a.m. in New York. So the entire first day will be while the stock market is closed. And that is specifically why I wanted to buy ahead of the news. Because I guarantee you that there will be articles or a press release or both or pictures of the first day at this air show with this, potentially auto-flying helicopter. And I guarantee you that that will get people talking about this stock. The fact that it just experienced a multi-month breakout above 4 is actually going to help nicely. This is a perfect breakout. And, last time it had a big volume spike, like you can see the volume spike here. Last time it had a big volume spike, last time it only got to 1.6 million shares. On Friday, it got to like 2.48. But last time it had the big green day and the volume spike, the next day was massive. Okay? And this was on, June 5th. They introduced this, May 5th, my bad. They introduced this helicopter right here when it was around, or they said they were going to introduce it right when the stock was around 350. Ever since they came out with that press release, it hasn't gone down, okay? Even though the overall market is down. So this has been consolidating its gains very nicely. It's now at the top of the range. And last time it had similar price action, it had a big 2-day spike. And, the first green spike was really just the warm-up to the second day. So all of this leads me to believe that this stock can go higher. Now, I kind of regret, selling my long-term position around 390, but I had been in it for a week. I didn't piece all this stuff together while I was traveling. I just wanted to play it safe. And I also have a short-term position. So my long-term newsletter subscribers are very happy. They're like, wow, you nailed this. You were like a week ahead of time with this. Now my short-term newsletter subscribers know that, A, I brought it up on Thursday afternoon. I brought it up on Friday morning. And this press release is all happening. Now, let me get to the point of why I think that this thing spiked really on Friday. So it's all well and good to show this off, on Monday. And, this press release, again, you could have seen it. All you had to do is keep watching. And this is actually one of my rules. Keep watching big winners that hold near their highs because they might come back. This might be actually a good time to bring this up. 5 ways to find the best stocks to trade. Because I think that this is very useful. Number 1, consider all the variables for my trader checklist guide and form a thesis. Okay? If you watch my trader checklist guide, which I encourage you to do, just go to traderchecklist.com, watch all 11 hours. I'm working on actually a sequel to it right now. But understand that there are multiple variables. But long story short, you form a thesis, which is what I did on WKHS. How do you find these? stocks, you look for big percent gainers every day. Use StocksToTrade.com. I can't tell you how many messages I get from people who are using random ass software, and that software does not pick up big percent winners on stocks under, $10 a share, under $5 a share, under $2 a share. Because most people don't give a shit about penny stocks. Most people, almost all of Wall Street, ignores this niche. So their data, their charts, their scans are not made for this niche. That's why we created Stocks to Trade, specifically for low price stocks. So stop using bad software. I hear some people that are like, oh, I don't want to pay for Stocks to Trade. And, you save like $100 and then you miss out on making like $10,000 when you have a good play. It blows my mind how little people are willing to invest in preparation and education. But again, this is why 90% of traders lose money. They don't want to prepare. They don't want to think ahead of time. So thank you for even watching this video. Again, if you understand the gist of this video, underneath it, leave a comment saying, I will prepare. Number 3, even if a stock isn't a big percent winner on the day, keep track of recent big percent winners. Okay, WKHS has done nothing really since, like over a month ago when it was a nice big percent winner, from the low 2s to the 4s. But the reason why I kept watching it is A, because they had that upcoming news on, June 19th, but B, because it was holding near its highs. Even if it didn't have the June 19th, catalyst, I would still be watching it because it's within shooting range of its highs. You can see here, clearly there was a top at 4. Here the top was like 393. And on Friday, it held all of it. And after hours, again, it's at 410. So it's a confirmed breakout with a catalyst, and you can see the volume spike. It blows my mind how many of you guys don't want to look at stocks from a few days ago or a few weeks ago, and you think that you only have to chase and buy, whatever the big percent winner is in the pre-market. That's what newbies believe, okay? Ask the newbies how they did buying the big percent winner HTGM the other day. Newbies got crushed. Those of us who are experienced, we still look at stocks that, are holding near their highs and were big percent winners a few weeks ago. So this is also important. Number 4, write down and or remember upcoming dates from press releases. You clearly had this opportunity to know that June 19th was going to be big. Look at this. This is in the freaking headline. This came out on May 31st. This is simple if you are prepared. It's very difficult if you're not prepared. I'm still getting messages from some people being like, I don't know, I don't see this news anywhere, Tim. Look back. Stop just looking in the past day or the past week. This was, 3 weeks ago. And you can clearly see reinventing the helicopter. I mean, this is not like this is a subtle company. This is a company that is based on hype. They know hype well, they create it, and they use it. And now it looks like the stock is finally responding to it. There could be terrible reviews of this helicopter, FYI. Okay, so this isn't like a surefire, like I guarantee you I will make money on Monday kind of thing. I think because, frankly, if you've seen my Spikeability DVD, then you know that several of my biggest winners have been buying on a Friday afternoon breakout and selling on the Monday gap up. So this is kind of in my wheelhouse. But that said, we're going to have a whole day in France with reviews coming from this, reinvented helicopter. And the reviews might be absolutely terrible. And so I might just wake up to a gap down. That's possible. That's why I'm not saying put $1 million. I'm just trying to show you how I constructed this trade setup in my head and why I think the odds are better than not, especially given the fact that, the most likely price action is going to be like this again, where it had that one-day breakout and then day 2, it had the big spike. And it didn't finish high on day 2. So if this thing goes to like 450 or 5, I wouldn't, be offended if some of you guys short it, because I don't know how long this breakout is going to last. But I will say that this is a very nice chart, a very nice breakout, and I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. I'm saving the best for last. So We have the helicopter. We have it coming up on June 19th. I'm buying the breakout. I'm buying short term only after the price action really has spiked a little bit. My long-term position, okay, that's cool. My long-term newsletter has different rules. That's why I keep them separate. Long-term, I simply got in the 370s and 350s because I thought that it would spike. And sure enough, it did. Short-term, I don't want to be in a stock that's not spiking. I specifically did not want to buy this Thursday afternoon when it was unchanged on the day because it's not showing the right price action for me. Just after a half hour after the market opened on Friday, it starts displaying the right price action, and that kind of gives me a little more confidence in my thesis. And do you know why it spiked on Friday? I have a feeling that it might have been something to do with this. Amazon just spent $13 billion to buy Whole Foods, okay? So some people might be like, Tim, why is this related at all? Well, if you look up why Amazon bought Whole Foods, you might see this. Because Amazon can now offer a mix of in-store shopping, same-day delivery, and its usual style of online shipping, it has room to grow. So, think about that. Amazon is investing a considerable amount of capital and energy into same-day delivery and grocery delivery. Now, if you know WKHS well, like I do, because again, it's been one of my long-term plays. I've been watching it for a while. I closely followed their UPS deal where they wanted to deliver, let me just show you, Workhorse, what's it called? Horsefly, UPS. I'll show you a diagram of what they try to do with UPS. Here's the demo. So here's a UPS truck made by Workhorse. They basically make electric vehicles. They have an electric pickup too. But this UPS truck is a little different because while the UPS guy is delivering the packages, this truck also has a little thing on top here. Wait for it. See, it's a hybrid electric vehicle. And I think they signed a deal for 70 of them, if I'm not mistaken. But again, they need FAA approval to allow these drones to actually work. But here's the UPS driver making her little rounds. La la la. Here's the packages she's manually going to deliver. Oh no, look at this little compartment thing. So this is on top of the UPS truck. She's putting the UPS package in there. She's plugging something away. I don't know what she's doing. Oh, she's guiding the delivery. So now the UPS truck opens from the top, and now this drone takes off. This is WKHS's Horsefly product. The helicopter is their Surefly product. So they have multiple products. Look at this little drone. I like this. This is pretty cool. And they demoed this. They won the deal with UPS. They simply don't have FAA, approval to get this thing done. But the technology exists. The deal is signed. They're just waiting on regulations. And look at this this is what the package is doing. And if you've looked up drone delivery, this is UPS, but Amazon has tested drone delivery. Google has tested drone delivery. And now look at this. The UPS driver goes and does like her delivery as the drone is doing another delivery. So it's just multitasking. The drone can deliver one, the UPS lady can deliver, and it just makes it more efficient. Oh, deliver it already. Stop teasing me, UPS. This is crazy, first of all. I love the fact that this, is even potential. But again, it's going to take regulations. You don't want like 1,000 drones flying up in the air. There's going to be all kinds of dangers. But this is, long story short, drone delivery using WKHS and their deal that they signed with Workhorse. And then the drone made the delivery, and then it flies back to the truck. That's the thesis, with this whole thing. And now it can pick up another package. So just think about that for a second when we look at Amazon, and Amazon wants to do same day delivery and grocery delivery. Can you picture a drone doing that same thing? Now, to be clear, WKHS does not have a deal with Amazon, okay? If they did, I would be much more confident. I would have a much bigger weekend position in WKHS. For right now, this is a probable multi-week breakout with, you know, the hype in the news of this helicopter on Monday, with only like a slight chance, you know, of it being an Amazon kind of play. But Amazon acquired Whole Foods. They now have 400 plus local grocery stores, and this drone delivery is very similar to UPS. The drone that Workhorse has created can only go for 30 minutes. So it has to be local. So you couldn't go from like the Amazon warehouse to deliver the package to, you know, you. There are, I think, a few dozen main Amazon warehouses, but now with Whole Foods, if these Whole Foods start becoming these hubs and these drones theoretically can then deliver groceries, that would be cool. I'm not the only one who thinks about this. So here was an article on Cincinnati.com. I've pieced this together. Amazon plans a worldwide cargo hub in Cincinnati. And this, as some commenters have pointed out, is 30 minutes from Workhorse's headquarters. Here's a few messages. Clean Hydro says, Workhorse and Amazon Fresh delivery trucks powered by Plug and WKHS. Now we have Whole Foods to do home delivery. Connect the dots. I should mention I'm also watching PLUG. I brought it up here. PLUG also spiked on Friday, nearly 10%. Again, because they actually have a deal with Amazon to power their trucks. And you can see here, it too had a nice little, you know, multi-week breakout because people are thinking, wait a minute, Amazon is going to be doing more deliveries now with groceries. It's becoming a little clear. So this guy thinks about it. This one guy says Amazon will buy Workhorse for the trucks and drones for deliveries and copter for heavy drops, in my opinion. Again, these are just message boards, so you have to take them, you know, with a grain of salt. But people are still thinking about it, okay? So I still care about it. I don't actually believe it, but again, for me, I'm trying to guess where the hype is going to come in. How will people start to think? Okay, so when Amazon has this worldwide cargo hub right near Workhorse's headquarters, you know, Amazon is all about same-day delivery and grocery delivery. This is what their, you know, drone delivery and now what their helicopter can do. Think about if you have a lot of groceries. And think about this. If you have groceries and they're too heavy for like a little drone, you might need a helicopter. And what does this helicopter want to be? Eventually, it wants to be an autopilot helicopter. So maybe for heavy packages, you take the helicopter. For lighter packages, you take the drone delivery. Now again, this is all in the future. This is all unconfirmed. But you can see the way that I'm thinking, and you can see why I think a few other people are thinking it too. I should also mention there's this article here that this was, you know, U.S. Postal Service has already partnered with Amazon for Sunday packages. Amazon already has a grocery store called Amazon Fresh, but it was really small, and now them taking over Whole Foods just increases their distribution. And again, there's just more people. You know, this guy says UPS already working with Workhorse. Is Amazon going to buy them? People are trying to spread the rumors, and I don't mind that because I'm long the stock. Do I believe the rumors? No. Do I want you to believe them? No. I want you to learn how hype works. I want you to learn how penny stocks break out. The fact that this has held near its highs, the fact that they have this Monday catalyst coming up, and the fact that you can kind of say that they are, you know, in the Amazon Whole Foods delivery discussion. This all bodes well for Monday. And, you know, I guarantee you that 1,000 technical traders are only going to see this multi-week breakout over the weekend. They weren't watching it when it was close to the highs. And this is the advantage of preparation. Too many traders only look at the day's current big percent gainers. Too many traders only look at stocks that are breaking out on that day. With penny stocks, you have to learn to anticipate. Now, I'm not saying that, I could have guessed that it went over, that it was going to break out over $4. I partially wanted to show you that I sold my long-term position because I played that safe because I wasn't convinced that it could break above $4 a share. But now that it has, I have a short-term position because the price action is proving that this can keep going. Now, will it keep going on Monday? I don't know. Let's see what the reviews are from the Paris show. Let's see if there's more hype or if there's an actual article potentially connecting them to this whole Amazon Whole Foods thing. I don't know what's going to happen. If it, fails to break $4 a share convincingly, I'll get out, okay? My average is still in the 380s on the short-term side because I was prepared. Do I wish I still had my long-term? Yeah, maybe. Probably should have just sold half, but, this isn't an exact science, and I locked in roughly $1,500 in profits on Friday while I was flying. And I didn't have the whole, kind of story figured out like I do now over the weekend. I had only, seen like one press release about Amazon buying Whole Foods. The internet wasn't working too well on my flight. Those of you in chat could see me, going in and out of chat. My last alert to buy WKHS, I didn't even actually type it in because I couldn't get into the Profitly chat room. I had my programmer Mike actually send out the alert. I had to text message him, and my text message was working, but my Wi-Fi wasn't. So I wasn't trading in a perfect environment. And sometimes that happens. I live kind of a crazy life. I trade from all over. But when a good trade pops up, I'm ready. And that's what I want you to understand. I want you to be prepared, thinking this way, buying recent winners that are holding near their highs on high volume breakouts, buying in anticipation of news, especially when they specifically tell you. They specifically told you. Let me just do a quick SSS real quick, just so that you understand. Because, rule number 1, consider all the variables from my trader checklist guide and form a thesis. So let me just show you specifically my thesis when I was buying it at 385. You might not know this, but if you go to Profitly/SSS, this is the thing that pops up. And you can prepare. In case you've seen my trader checklist guide, you know that these are the main variables that I look at before any single trade. Too many of you say, oh, Tim, the news is good. Why did the stock go down? Well, news is only one of, 7 variables that I look at. So let's look at WKHS when I was looking to buy it. Actually, let's do 2 of them. Here it is at 385 on Friday. And when I talked about it at first on Thursday, it was at 360. But I did not buy it at 360. I did buy it at 385. Most people would say, Tim, like you paid, you're happy to buy it, at higher prices. Shouldn't you want to buy it at lower prices? As you'll see when I go through these indicators, and again, I didn't manually go through these indicators. I've internalized it after trading for so long. I know these indicators inside and out. But sometimes I want to buy a stock when the stock price is higher, because then the stock has proven to me that it can spike. It's proven to me that it's in play. So it's not always better to get the lowest price, and you'll see why. So on Thursday afternoon, when I mentioned it in the chat room, it was at 360. So let's just look at this chart right now. So right now you can see it as a 405, after hours 410. It's a clear breakout on high volume. But on Thursday, it was here at 360. It was not a breakout. It actually looked like it was almost going to, crack support here. And good thing that they had this, upcoming air show on Monday. That's probably the only reason that it even held unchanged here on the day at 360 on Thursday. Otherwise, it's downtrending every day. So I don't want to buy a stock for the short term that's downtrending every day and that looks like, it could crack. If it cracks 350, it could go straight to 3. This is a very dangerous pattern to buy. So at 385 though, on Friday morning, it's within shooting range of the breakout at 4. It's spiking on high volume, a day ahead of potentially big news. That is price action, especially on a Friday, that I want to buy. So the pattern in the price, and if you've seen my trader checklist guide, you know that I value each indicator differently on a scale of 1 to 20 for pattern and price. At 360, this is not a good pattern. It's a better price, obviously, but it's not a good pattern. And on a scale of 1 to 20, I would rate this a 2. It's pretty bad. Now, let me give it a 3. This isn't an exact science. I would give it a 1 if it actually broke support at 350-ish. At 385, on a Friday morning spiking with potential news on Monday and a shot at breaking above $4 a share, you know, again, at 385 when I first bought it on Friday, I didn't know if it was already going to go to 4, if it was going to go to 410, or maybe it was just going to go to 4 and then come right back down to 380. Maybe come back down to 360. And I'm traveling. I'm doing this trade while I'm flying, so it was not a gimme. But the pattern was better. So I will give this, you know, once it breaks above 4, then it's actually the best because now it's a confirmed breakout. But when it's within shooting range with an upcoming catalyst, I'll give this a 12 out of 20. Risk reward here at 360, if it breaks 350, it can go straight to 3 because then it will be a multi-week breakdown. So even though I want to cut losses at, let's say, 10 cents a share, I'm really risking maybe 60 cents a share because guess what? It can crash in a hurry. These stocks can move very quickly. So if I'm risking 60 cents a share, and also, you know, there's massive resistance at $4 a share. A lot of you guys ask me, how do you determine risk reward? Well, if it breaks support here at 350-ish, it could go, you know, all the way to 3, let's say. There's also resistance here at 395. So at 360, there's only 35 cents of upside and call it 60 cents of downside. So the risk is double the potential reward. That's terrible. That's a 1 out of 20. Buying it at 385, okay, there's still resistance at 4. So there's, you know, potentially only 15 cents a share of upside. But that said, it's spiking. So even if it, let's say, just stops at 4, it's spiking with a potential catalyst on Monday. So even if it closed at 4, even if it closed at 397, I'm still not that scared because guess what? It can keep going. And the fact that it's already spiking, you have to consider that with risk reward. At the point that I bought it on Friday, I did not get a perfect execution because, again, I was traveling, but it was already spiking on a Friday morning. Now, I didn't know if that was due to Amazon, if that was due to, you know, the upcoming potential over the Monday catalyst. All I know is that it's spiking on a Friday morning. That's a pretty good sign. And if it stops at 4, so be it. If it breaks 4, even better, which is now. You know, now above 4, again, the risk reward is solid. But at 385, you don't know what's going to happen. So to be conservative, let's say there's 15 cents of upside. But at the same time, if it doesn't spike, let's say it doesn't go up to $4 a share. Let's say I buy it at 385 and I just buy it into a brick wall of sellers, which has happened sometimes before. Let's say I buy it at 385 and it comes down to like 380 or 375 or, you know, it doesn't even touch 4. I simply cut losses and I lose 10 or 15 cents a share. So now instead of being double risk versus, you know, half reward, like at 360, because again, if it came down to 350, it could crack support very quickly. I might not be able to cut losses quickly. On Friday, since it's already spiking on a Friday morning, most likely, even if it doesn't touch 4, it's still probably going to, you know, be up a little bit on the day, maybe go red on the day, but no matter what, it's probably still going to hold support at 350. So I'm not so scared of, you know, the big crash. That was the potential if I'm trying to buy a stock at the bottom of the range. So now, let's say the risk is, let's say it goes back down to 370 and I cut losses because now it can't break out on a Friday. It's not spiking as much as I want. 15 cents of downside, 15 cents of upside, 1-to-1 risk reward. Still not great, but not as bad as, you know, 1 risk versus 2 reward, or 1 reward and 2 risk, meaning that the risk is double the potential reward at 360. At 385, it's 1-to-1. So it's a little better, still not great. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Ease of entry and exit, you know, this stock, very easy to get in and out of, so it's a 10 out of 10. Very actively traded, you know, up to a few thousand shares. It's not necessarily easy if you want to buy 1 million shares, but I have a small account and most of you guys have small accounts too. past performance and history of spiking. So this stock has proven that it can spike, for multiple days, 2 days in a row here, and then, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-day uptrend. This doesn't always happen. There are some stocks that just can't do anything. Let's pull up, what's like a perennial loser lately? MBOT. Let me show you, just for comparison's sake. MBOT, it does spike for 2 days, but after that, it just goes straight down. Okay, compare that to WKHS. It spiked and came down and then came back up. So again, it's not like the most volatile stock. It's not the smallest company in the world, but it's pretty good. So I'll give this, let's say a 7 out of 10. What time of day is it? So when I said it, it was heading into the close on a Thursday afternoon. I knew that I was going to miss the market open. I was going to be traveling on Friday, so it's not a really good time for me to take a position, especially on a stock at the bottom of its range where it could fall, under the bottom of the range, and then what am I going to do? That would be very, very bad news. I wouldn't be able to cut losses. So I theoretically really could lose like 50 cents a share, and I wouldn't even know about it. I wouldn't even be able to do anything about it. So Thursday afternoon was very, very bad for me to buy a stock. I don't care what the stock is going to do. If I'm not around to trade it Friday morning, guess what? It's a no-go. 1 out of 20. Now, on Friday morning, it's spiking. I'm traveling. I understand that it's not like the best time to trade, but at the same time, it's already proven that it spiked a little bit. And guess what? I have some patience problems. So sometimes it helps when I'm trading and traveling because then I'm not like so freaked out. I tend to let the stocks play out more. So not perfect by any means, but I'll give this a 10 out of 20. Reason Catalyst. Again, it's probably the unveiling of the helicopter on Monday. But it also might be the whole Amazon connection. I'm not sure. I can't tell. But either way, if it's Amazon or if it's Monday, the catalyst is coming up. It's not like the Paris Air Show is on Friday and, the catalyst is come and gone. This is clearly buying the anticipatory news that's probable on Monday. It's not perfect, again, because, we don't know what the reviews are going to say about this helicopter. So it's not a sure thing. So it's not a 10 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And it's the same, reason and catalyst because we're looking at the same stock. This is why we have 2 separate tabs here so that you can clearly see the difference at different prices and different times. Market environment, we've seen some spikes lately, but, no true supernovas lately. The stuff that has been running, though, has been kind of like these junky speculative stocks. So even though the overall market hasn't been that hot, it's probably been a pretty good market for this kind of a run-up. So I'll give this a 7 out of 10. And this is it. So here you can see the total value of the potential trade, 36 out of 100 and 60 out of 100. So normally I want to only take trades that are like 70 out of 100, but at the same time, part of the reason why I gave this a little more, breathing room is because it's a Friday with probable news on Monday, which is probably my favorite pattern. Back when I made my first $100,000 as a freshman in college, it was a Friday afternoon buy, and I sold it in anticipation of news over the weekend, and the news turned out to be positive, and I made over 100 grand. So I have an affinity for this kind of pattern. So not the perfect setup by any means, but hopefully now you can see how it changes based on the price. So you're not always looking at a better trade or, better entry price just because you have a lower entry price. And this is why I created this scale to kind of bring this out, because this isn't easy to explain. A lot of people think I'm just crazy, like, oh, Tim, yeah, you want to buy a stock at a higher price? You're crazy. This is why I want you to consider all of the variables. All of those indicators are outlined on my Trader Checklist guide, which too many of you guys haven't watched. But long story short, you've now seen me explain it. You've seen me explain the news. in the chart, and now the numbers don't lie. And now we have a stock that's actually a nice breakout above 4 also. Let me actually do one more. Let's keep this video going. Why not? So we've established that it's not a good buy at 360 on a Thursday afternoon, but on a Friday morning, it is good at 385. Let's type in what it is now. Again, I was traveling, so I couldn't, really comment all day like I really wanted to in the chat room, like I would if I had been there. But let's see it at 405. Let me refresh this so that we're not biased. And let's just see what it is. Because on Friday morning when I'm buying it at 385, I don't know if it's going to break $4 a share or not. I have no idea. But now that it has, the pattern in the price, it's up from a 12 to a 20 because now it's a confirmed breakout. If you actually look at it intraday, it put up a fight at 4 and it initially failed right at 4. But then it held. It broke above 4 to 410. It even came back down below 4 and then came right back in the closing few minutes. I didn't even know what the stock closed at. I had literally no Wi-Fi the last like 20, 30 minutes. So I'm glad that it broke 4 in the afternoon and more importantly that it held 4. This is what I like to see in these breakouts. This is a confirmed breakout and this is definitely a 20 out of 20. Now risk reward. So at 405, should you be buying? Well, here's the case for buying because now it's broken 4. It's a multi-week breakout. If somehow it goes below 4, you simply cut losses quickly. Obviously, it's not guaranteed because there still might be some negative reviews from the Paris Air Show. But most likely, because this is a multi-week breakout, a lot of traders who don't think as intently or meticulously like I do, a lot of penny stock traders, they're just buying it like, oh, it's a breakout. Let me just buy it. And so they'll give it time. They're not even aware of all these other indicators. It's amazing how many penny stock traders are so simplistic. They don't want to think about multiple indicators. It hurts their brains. So a lot of people will just be buying this probably at the market open on Monday just because they'll do their scans. They'll run their scans over the weekend and they'll see this thing broke above $4 a share. And they'll be like, oh, it's a breakout. Oh, new helicopter. And they'll see the news because I'm guessing WKHS will put out a press release on Monday. So they'll say, oh, it's a breakout with a press release. Not understanding that, they already announced this helicopter, 3 weeks ago. So anybody who's done their research has an advantage. But let's just pretend that you're just seeing this right now at 405. Should you be buying it? If, let's say you think this is a breakout and it's going to hold above $4 a share. If it does not hold $4 a share, if let's say it goes to $3.97 or $3.98, you simply cut your losses because now the breakout has turned into the latest top and it is a fake out. And you lose, let's say, 5 to 10 cents a share. But if the breakout continues, let's see, how high can it go? Where is there resistance? You find the potential reward by looking at where resistance is. Well, right here, it got up to 450. So let's call it 45 cents of upside and 10 cents of downside. That's 4.5 to 1 risk reward. That's pretty good. It doesn't get much better than that. We're going to call this a 20. Actually, we'll call this like an 18 because this isn't as volatile of a stock as I normally like. Like there's a chance it'll go to 450 on Monday. There's not a good chance that it'll get any higher than that. It's not like this thing will go to $5 or $6 a share like I really like. I like buying these stocks that are really volatile and very speculative because they can spike, much more. This one is a real company. They might have kind of speculative products, but it's just not that volatile of a stock. So I got to ding it. In fact, let me actually ding it some more as I'm thinking about it. Let me ding it to 16. Again, this isn't an exact science. You can change your mind. There's no one right number for this. Ease of entry and exit is still the same stock. It's very easy to get in and out of. It's still the same stock with a past performance of 7. Now at 405, let's say I'm thinking about buying this on a Friday afternoon. First of all, we have the news coming out on Monday. So if it closes anywhere around 405, yes, it's a confirmed breakout. But it didn't spike, huge leading up to the news. And there's the risk that, the news might not be great on Monday. So there's always that risk. You have to consider it. That said, at what time is it personal schedule? I'm completely clear to trade on Monday. I'm back for Father's Day. So Monday, I'm not traveling and I can trade. So there's the risk of negative news, but overall, it's pretty damn good. I'll call it a 15 out of 20. The reason catalyst is still the same and the market environment is still the same. So now it's an 82 at the close, as opposed to when I bought it when it was only a 60 out of 100. So should I have bought it when it was only a 60 out of 100? Well, again, you're going to have to make your own judgment calls. That's based on your own schedule. A lot of the reason why this wasn't higher was because of my own, personal schedule. If, let's say, I had not been traveling on Friday and it's spiking on a Friday morning spike, I would give this a 20. And the reason why is because not only could it spike on Friday, but it could also spike on Monday. But remember, you have all day Friday on this example, okay? So if you're buying a stock on a Friday morning with potential news on Monday, you don't even necessarily have to hold it all day Friday. So that gives you a lot of time and a lot of room for it to spike. If I buy this on a Friday morning at 385, I don't know that it's going to stop, at $4 a share. I have no idea how high it can go. Let's say this thing went to, 450 in the morning and I'm in at 385. I don't care what it does Monday because now that's best case scenario. I've just made, 70 cents a share. I don't need that weekend risk. So I'll just take profits. So I would prefer to buy a stock like this on a Monday morning or on a Friday morning, because then it can run literally all day Friday. And then you have the good choice whether to hold it over the weekend, hold it all, or maybe you hold half, or maybe you sell and you just, don't want the risk over the weekend. So it's actually better on a Friday morning than on a Friday near the market close, because near the Friday market close, you don't have that potential. You have just more risk of what can happen over the weekend that you can't control. So you have to ding it. And it's very interesting to see this. I mean, I didn't come up with this sliding scale easily. It wasn't like, oh, let me just, pitch some bullshit. Like, I thought about this very, very clearly. And using this scale on every single trade really helps you understand the risk reward. And sadly, a lot of you guys, again, from the very beginning of this video lesson, I said, if you get the gist of this video, I want you to say underneath this video, leave a comment saying, I will prepare. And thinking about different times of the day, different risk levels, your own personal schedule, your own environment, the market environment, all of this stuff affects your trade. And you really can, again, this is not an exact science, but you can plan a good trade as opposed to a bad trade. Now, again, I rated this a 10 out of 20, but that only was happening because I was traveling. And that was why it was a 60 overall. If I wasn't traveling, it would have fit. It would have fit my indicators where I only want to partake in stocks that have these, numbers between 70 and 100. So this would have fit. Although I will say it's a better fit now after the market close, because whether I'm traveling or not, the fact that it closed above 4, you have to give big points to pattern and price and risk reward. You can see these two clearly are higher than when the stock was at 385, because now it's a confirmed breakout. And because the breakout is at $4 a share, you have a very, very clear risk level. When I'm buying it at 385, as you might have heard me explain just a little while ago, I wasn't really sure about what the risk level is, That's 385, okay, it's up 25 cents a share on the day. Maybe it goes, down a little bit. Maybe it's a little ahead of itself. As it turned out, what was the lowest it got? It did actually have 1 minute where it dropped from 393 back down to 365, and then it came back, and then it held 380 all day. So aside from this one blip, there was really not any more risk than 5 cents a share from my buy. But this is this blip is also a good lesson why I don't use hard stops. A lot of people say, Tim, like you do all this stuff planning, and you try to be so meticulous, and you're trying to figure out the risk reward, and you say it's not an exact science. Why don't you just use hard stops? If you buy the stock at, let's say, 385, and the stock goes down to, let's say, 370, you get your hard stop and you're out at 370. Well, if I used a hard stop and I bought it at 385 like I did, and I used a hard stop at 370, yeah, I would have lost 15 cents a share. And that hard stop would have gotten me out during the 1 minute that the market makers dropped this stock to that price, specifically to take out all of the weak hands, specifically to take out all the people, who use hard stops. So you can ignore my rules. You can ignore the way that I teach. You can ignore the way that I trade all you want. I know some traders who do like using hard stops. But on these stocks, if you use a hard stop, meaning you put in a limit price, a stop limit, like if this stock hits below this number, I want out, and you try to control your risk that way, you will get faked out more times than not, because market makers love shaking the tree. Market makers can see where people put their hard stops, and they specifically screwed every single person with a hard stop at 379, 78, 77, 76, all the way down to 365. And it's kind of funny. That's where the breakout began. Remember, it wasn't doing much near the market open. 365 was the big spike, and the market makers took it down exactly to that price. And then for the rest of the day, it never touched below 380 again. So this stock has a whole bunch of lessons as to, how a stock can break out for multiple weeks with upcoming news. Remember, the news isn't even out. Let me just recap this for you, because I know some of you guys might be confused. This thing is coming out on Monday, and I don't know what people are going to say. They might say, this picture is BS. This is vaporware. Or they might say, oh my God, ooh la la, as they'll say in Paris. This is amazing. So be sure, before the market opens, the U.S. stock market opens on Monday, let's see. Let's see what the reviews are. I have no idea what they're going to be, but I do know that day one of this, Surefly unveiling will be over in Paris before the U.S. stock market opens on Monday. And I don't know if Workhorse is going to put out a press release before the market opens on Monday. It would make sense. If they're showcasing this in Paris, they theoretically should have a pre-market, press release. Or maybe, Wired or some tech journal will write about this. But if not, this stock, or even if they do write about it, there's still no guarantee that this stock will stay above $4 a share. But if the news is positive and the volume is positive, and it goes, from 405 to, after hours it's at 410, and maybe it's at like 420 or 430 pre-market, this easily could test 450. And then you'll have the breakout. And then you'll have all the latecomers and all these newbies with chat rooms being like, well, Workhorse is a pre-market winner. And you can just laugh at them like the way that I do, where all these websites and all these people think so much about pre-market winners and big percent winners that day, and they don't give any thoughts, no thoughts to planning days, weeks, months ahead of time, because they're just not meticulous. And being meticulous is the difference between becoming a millionaire and being a poor-ass newbie. And a lot of people say, Tim, I don't want to invest in my education. Oh my God, a few $1,000s. Oh, it's the worst thing ever. If you think that way and you don't invest in your education, trust me, you will think that a few $1,000s is a lot of money for the rest of your life. You can either get educated and learn the proper way to plan ahead, or you can be like the vast majority of traders who just take these trades the day of, and they don't understand, why a stock sometimes spikes in anticipation of news, and then when the news hits, the stock goes down. Because all of us veterans with a lot more money than the newbies have been planning this trade for days, weeks, and months. Anyways, that's my spiel. I didn't mean to turn this into an hour-long video lesson, but I did. And this is how I think about stocks. So here are the 5 ways to find the best stocks. Use Trader Checklist, use Stocks to Trade, watch recent big percent winners, write down and remember upcoming dates from press releases, and buy in anticipation of news and on rumors, and sell when the news hits. I don't know when I'm going to sell, FYI. You can be in my chat room on Monday and you'll see what I'm seeing on this stock. If it opens up at 420 or 430 or 450, I'll probably take some or maybe even all profits. If this thing goes to 5, then I'll be even happier and I'll definitely take profits. If this thing does not break out anymore, then I'll take little profits. If this thing opens down with, negative news, negative reaction to this helicopter, then I'll take small losses. I'm not disappointed or excited by any trade anymore. I want to meticulously plan. I'm disappointed in myself if I don't meticulously plan. I'm disappointed in you if you don't meticulously plan. Because this is one trade example, and I have thousands of trades, but if I can spend 1 hour dissecting the ins and the outs and different prices of potential entries and potential exits on this stock, you start to get a picture of how serious I take this. Trading to me is a business. Too many of you just don't take it seriously enough. And that way you're not going to make serious money. Too many people just want to buy whatever hot stock is spiking. Oh, I made 20%. I bought this hot stock. And you get spoiled by this bull market. In a bear market, if you come to the market with that kind of bullshit, lack of preparation, you will get destroyed. And I've said this many times, I cannot wait for a bear market. I cannot wait for a different market that exposes all the newbies, that exposes all these poor ass people who have never made millions of dollars trading, okay? There's a big difference between those of us who have made millions trading and those who don't. And you should ask every single person if they want your trust, if they want you to actually learn, say, hey, prove it. Have you made millions of dollars trading? If not, why not? Show me all your trades. Have you created any millionaires from scratch? If not, why not? Show me all of your top students' trades. There's so much bullshit in penny stocks, in the trading world, in the financial education world. You have to be very careful. And I made this video long and comprehensive specifically to show you the thinking and the planning that goes on behind every single one of my trades. Even if I'm traveling, okay? I'm not just buying a stock for the heck of it. I'm not just following somebody's alert. I'm not just trading for action. I'm in this thinking about every single angle. And sometimes I get sloppy. Sometimes I don't think about all the angles. Sometimes I miss, an indicator or two. I don't want you to think that, I'm perfect and all-knowing. But in this case, I have been prepared for this stock, and that's why you've seen it, on my watch list, in my commentary ahead of time, before I even traded it, so that you understand my thought process. This is how you become a successful trader. Not by following my alerts or picks, or anybody's for that matter, and you shouldn't do that, but by learning how I think, seeing what patterns work for me, seeing my process, and then changing it up, taking what you like and discarding what you don't like, and making it work for you. I have students now in nearly 100 countries. Every single one of us has a different personality. Every single one of us has a different strength or weakness. And yet, if you follow these simple 5 steps, you will have better odds of success on every single trade, because you will be going into these trades with a plan. If you utilize this free tool on Profitly, just specifically going over the various indicators, okay, ahead of time, before you risk your hard-earned money, you will have more success than not. It's very difficult to meticulously plan a trade and screw up unless you ignore that plan. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video lesson. It's now an hour and 5 minutes and I'm done. But if you understand what I'm talking about, please leave a comment underneath this video saying I will prepare, and that will make me happy. Thank you.